Something I want to discuss because it's about being and doing and having. Let's write it down here. And I'll tell you why. Be, do, and I'm going to put a question mark here, have. Now generally how we live though is do, so we can have, and then we'll be. Okay? Now generally what you'll find, excuse me, I just want to make sure, self-awareness, yeah. In fact, this covers self-awareness. You're asking about self-awareness. Okay? What is self-awareness? How do we become self-aware? Awareness is a very powerful statement. Other words that I would use to describe awareness is being able to completely observe the full spectrum of being. To be able to witness and be objective in how you see the world. If you are at some level unaware, because the opposite of awareness is unawareness. What does it mean to be unaware? It means at some level you and I are being ignorant, naive, foolish, or some might say absolutely dumb or stupid about a situation. And all of us have been in the scenarios where we're completely dumb or stupid because all of us at some level have been scammed. Okay? And you may say never, but at some level you probably got scammed by a scam artist or shyster or some politician or some person who sold you something and you realize afterwards it wasn't really worth what they claimed it was, right? So we all get scammed. Why do we get scammed? Or we not act from a level of unawareness? Because we have an inbuilt want, desire, and expectation of how the world should be, how a person must be. And what happens when we open ourselves up to being ignorant, naive, and stupid? So what is awareness? Awareness is where you see the full spectrum of how people are, how the world is, and how you are. But in order to understand people at the full spectrum of what they are, you got to see yourself for what you are. Awareness is amazing. If we completely develop awareness at its absolute level, I would say it would be bordering on intuition. Some might call it being psychic, to see people as they will be in that moment and how they have behaved in the past and how they will behave in the future. But in order to get to the full extent of people, you and I, in order to be aware, need to introspect and become aware of who you are. And in order to become aware of who you are, because when we all ask people, who are you? They'll give you some name, and they'll give you some degree, and they'll give you the job. That's just some societal view of you. That's what you put in on LinkedIn, on your CV, that's great. But as much as you judge someone on CV, there's 99% more that you don't know. The awareness then comes into seeing yourself for who you are. And at a level where you can see, as much as you can see yourself, not just the good, you need to see the bad. You need to see the wrong. You need to see the nasty. And that's challenging. Because why? You have to go into the place where you would naturally judge and criticize others. You have to go into the place where you will be tempted to judge and criticize yourself. And we don't like doing that because you're going to start feeling shame and humiliation towards yourself. And it's a tough exercise to see the bad, the wrong within you. There's a nice saying, I heard it, my wife was telling my children this morning, your bad qualities, your vices are written on your back. Can you see them? No. Everyone else sees them. They'll probably tell you behind your back, but they won't tell you up front because we buy into your image or we allow for your image to play out. But your nasty qualities are behind your back. So you have to do a lot of introspection, reflection, self-contemplation to see what they are and endeavor then to look at them objectively. And that allows awareness of yourself. So recognize a simple example. If there was a bowl of the most amazing chocolate on a table here, all unwrapped, waiting, hey, I'll be tempted. greed will come to the fore and grab a few. Okay? Trying not to. I was trying to stay away from chocolate, but you never know, right? And I never know why. Because as much as I categorically say, stay away, hey, the diet plan can start tomorrow. If I took a vow of no chocolate one more day, who's going to say I'm human? All these excuses. Human is to err, and all these things will come to your mind. Because what will your mind do? Your mind will justify. Your mind is never wrong. In its mind, it's never wrong. It is always right. How you see the world is correct, is normal, is ordinary, is average. Your mind is never wrong. Everyone else's mind is wrong. And what the mind does, it's always trying to do is make you comfortable, preserve you, and keep you safe. So it has to be right. Okay? But to step back and see your mind objectively, to see, wait a minute, you're capable of wrong things. You're capable of eating that chocolate, you know that. Because what you'll do in that split moment, seconds, hours before you eat that chocolate, you'll be justifying why you need to eat it. And in your mind, you're correct. So awareness then demands that you see yourself for who you truly are. And by seeing yourself for who you truly are, in order to do that, you have to approach yourself with compassion, kindness, and caring, not with criticism and judgment. And by doing that, then, you can then approach the world with awareness, because you see them for truly who they are. But the moment you criticize and judge, you will not see. You have to still approach the world, and in order to be aware, with compassion, kindness, and caring. Where are they coming from? What drives them? What insecurity, what scarcity drives them? So as much as someone steals something from you, which is reason for you to criticize and judge and say that person is wrong. I'm not saying it's a good thing to do it. That is bad, right? It will allow you to see it with compassion. What scarcity, what negative factor in their upbringing facilitated them doing this? How did they justify in their mind? Because you will see that you do the same to yourself. The facade we put out there. And many of us, we don't want to let go of that facade where we want to break through into that level of awareness. We hold on to who we think we are. We are never wrong. We need to do that because we feel far too vulnerable if we break through that facade. Why did we build up that facade as to who we are? Because at some point, you did feel hurt, you did feel pain. You probably even felt shame, embarrassment, and humiliation as to who you are. So you had to forget that and be something that society accepted. And at some level, you allow that to play out because society accepts the facade. And how do you know that? At some level, you feel you get rewarded. Maybe sometimes with fame, with fortune, with admiration, with acceptance, with appreciation. This is saying what? Man can live on praise alone. And when you get that praise, you're never going to let it go. Because that praise may be based on something that's superficial and not true. Right? Many of us speak of what? Imposter complex. Why? Because at some level we're presenting something which we feel is not truly who we are. So awareness is seeing yourself for who you are, and thereby you can see the world for what it is. And another level to awareness is to go beyond the mind. Okay? If I ask you what 1 + 1 is, you know it equals to 2. You are knowledgeable that it is 2. If someone insists it's 3, you say it's illogical and irrational and something's wrong with them. But sometimes some of us are faced with situations where it's completely out of our knowledge zone. Okay, like for example, let's give you a scenario which is at the moment current. Prior to around March 2020, were we aware, was anyone in this room aware that we all in the world will be wearing masks and sitting 1.5 meters from each other? You'll be sitting on the opposite side of the room. I'll be giving this talk from 5 meters or 10 meters away. And this will be the situation.
If someone told me that, I'd be like, are you okay? What drugs did you take?
So what has happened it was completely out of our awareness. So when you ask the question, how are we aware? How the heck could we have been aware? That's a challenging situation. How do we be aware? Because at some point, human beings were foolish. At some point, we thought 3 weeks of hard lockdown, within a month, we'll be back out there giving hugs and having a good time. A year later, we still have no clue when this is going to end. In the hospital I work at, where we experienced the third wave, and we are now slowly, the numbers are dropping, and we're all exhausted, medical staff, nurses, everyone. We are now saying, okay, let's wait for the fourth wave. We don't know. We are completely unaware. We are completely clueless. What does awareness demand? It's seeing things for what they are, rather than what you'd like it to be. Then what you're doing is going beyond the mind into a space of absolute potential possibilities, where you don't just say, it's all going to be good, right, happy, yes, the glass half full. You see what the potential for it to be unhappy, sad, negative also exists. You allow for the full spectrum of life, because human beings, when we come from a space of negativity, when we come from the space of the mind, which is protective of itself, there has to be something that it has to protect from. And thereby, you actually create the darkness. We create the bad. But if you allow for the full spectrum, welcome to planet Earth. We all want the utopia. We all want the rainbow nation. We all want, some might say, the American dream. But sometimes some things go wrong. And we have to allow for the full spectrum. Doesn't mean it stops you from doing what you have to do. You still do. What I'm getting at, if you look at it, we all say we do, so we'll have, and then we'll be. We do work hard, so we can have some money, so we'll be wealthy. And we all want to be wealthy, and I'm not just talking about financial wealth, it can be happiness wealth, which we're talking about. It can be family relationship wealth. There's different forms of wealth, right? Why not be wealthy in terms of family, in terms of compassion, kindness, love? And therefore you do. But very, very, very important, as much as I know what I've written is be, do, have, but that's why I put a question mark. I'll qualify this with a statement. Do your best and leave the rest. Do your best, and whatever the outcome is, let it be. So what I'm also saying, no one can guarantee you will have. As much as there's probably millions of videos, books, people promising you if you do X, Y, Z, you will achieve this. You know this in your personal life, where you've done 10%, you received 100%. Where as much as you've done 150%, you got 0. Allow yourself to do, and let the universe determine the outcome. Do your best and let the universe take care of the rest. And very important, be comfortable, be aware that it will be either what some might argue is good and some might argue is bad. Some might argue it's right and some might argue it's wrong. No one. Yes, you do your absolute though, but do not get attached to the outcome. Do not get attached to the result. Do not hold on to what you think life must deliver. Why? Because probably the reason why you're here is that at some level you got depressed. And if you got depressed, it's because a want, a desire, an expectation didn't manifest. And much as you then decided, oh, I will not worry about others, I'll have no wants, no desires and expectations, you feel someone has done something wrong to you. Someone has done something bad to you. And lo and behold, we end up in a negative space because we don't get the have. And you and I know this in this day and age. Everyone nowadays works hard. Why I say that? Because your organization, as much as you work from 8 to 5, sometimes expects you to work from 8 to 8. And I'm not talking of 8 o'clock at night. They're probably expecting you to work till 8 the next day. Okay, I remember trying to make a phone call to a friend, and he started on a Friday night. He says, I'm in a stretch session, I'll speak later. It's fine. And next day he couldn't speak still, and it carried on till the next Saturday evening. He works for a big corporate, one of the cell phone companies, and it was like a 24-hour stretch session. Okay? As much as he did, I'm not sure if he's got any fruits as a result. I doubt whether that will say, oh, you sat for a 24-hour strategy session, therefore you met up with your KPIs. Welcome to the world. You be, you do, but there's no guarantee as to what you have. The outcome will be what the outcome's supposed to be sometimes, no matter what you do. But because of human nature, the mind wants a certain thing. It accumulates. Why? To feel safe, to preserve itself. You and I, as much as a bird, builds its nest and keeps itself comfortable, warm, and safe for itself and its offspring, human beings do the same, except our nest is built with cars and houses and other things, food, and there's no guarantee sometimes, as comfortable as you make it to be, that you'll have the outcome you want, the happiness that you seek, the joy that you wish for. But if you're prepared to allow for the full extent of life to enter through your door, because that, as much as you don't say, let me invite the negativity, if you prepare that it can go one way or the other, it allows you to walk an easier path.